I'm Myles Ehrlich here today with Owen Pence. We've shouldered aside Arya and Rachel for a special edition of the Winsidr Show where it's all about the W. Today we talk to multimedia superstar Jordan Ligons. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community at patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over on winsidr.com. And if you're looking to get tickets for the WNBA Finals, thanks to our sponsor TickPick, you don't have to worry. The original no-fee ticket site and official ticketing partner of the WNBA champion Chicago Sky, although they're not repeating this year. Use the link tickpick.com/Winsidr for all your upcoming ticket purchases for the WNBA and more sporting events.
Well, Myles and I are extremely excited to have one of our favorite WNBA reporters on the show today, the one and only Jordan Ligons. We're both huge fans of Jordan's and could go on forever raving about her work. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to read this fantastic bio that was presented to us. Respected for her reporting on women's sports, Jordan Ligons is the host of The Buckets 5, the series that celebrates the WNBA on the Wave Sports and Entertainment Buckets channels. As a Black woman covering sports, Jordan is keenly aware that more often than not, no one else in the press room looks like her. Proud of her Blackness and frequently sporting her natural curls, she wards off negative vibes with her infectious positivity and commands respect. She's been published in GQ, Essence, The Ringer, and more. She hosts Take It from LA, the latest series from Jordan Basketball, where she talks about how fashion, culture, and basketball make the city so great. And as if all that wasn't enough, she also co-hosts the weekly podcast Spinsters with Haley O'Shaughnessy on the Blue Wire Network. Jordan, officially welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Wow, thank you so much. What an intro.
We
just
gotta roll out the red carpet. All right. I mean, it's a special day.
We're just both super excited to talk to you, and we just have so much W stuff to talk about. So it's really a perfect time. We want to get into some of the amazing stuff that you're doing in a little bit, but first we have to talk about what went down on Thursday night. Tied at the half, Chicago goes up double digits after the third, goes ice cold. Connecticut rattles off 18 straight to end the game, and another year goes by without a repeat champ. What are you thinking as you're watching that game about the Suns' chances midway through the fourth quarter?
I was thinking there's no way Chicago is going to give this up, right? Like that's what I kept saying out loud over and over. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. And Connecticut Sun made a way. They forced their way into the finals just like the Connecticut Sun always do. They're going to make a way out of no way. I had Connecticut in the finals, but I think Lexi Brown tweeted, we were talking about it, a couple weeks ago. We both had Connecticut in the finals, but we're both shocked that it happened this way because it felt like Chicago had that game in the bag. And I don't even know. I think there needs to be a word beyond ice cold because 0 points for almost 5 minutes is unheard of until the last time that they did it against the New York Liberty. So I don't even know what this term is. I don't know if it's going to be called like Chicago skying or something, but it's too much. I don't even know what to do with that information of laying a goose egg in prime time in a closeout game.
Yeah, it was like you said, it was like the first game of the postseason when they went, I think that was 3.5 minutes or something like that, where the Liberty rattled off however many they had to come back late in that game. But for a team that is just so cohesive offensively, it's weird. And as a champion with that experience, it's weird to see them get tight in that moment. And that's what we were seeing last night. It felt like, especially from vets like Sloot and Quigley and even Candace didn't have her strongest game.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with Quigley. Kind of the whole series, she wasn't really there. And then Sloot was also out of character. I think she was just making not the best passes or decisions. Like, literally like the one where she tried to throw the pass to Emma Mieseman and it hits the backboard. You're like, whoa, what? Is this the Courtney Vandersloot that we idolize and know? So it's just some questionable decisions. And just like in that first game of the postseason between New York and Chicago, where Maureen Johannes throws that incredible pass and it feels like the sky just froze up. And that was the last, they didn't score after that. In Thursday's game, it was the same thing with the kerfuffle down under the basket between Kalia Copper and Dewana Bonner and James Wade running behind the basket. All of that happened, and Chicago didn't score after that. So it's like some of these moments where, you kind of have to absorb the hit and keep fighting and keep going. Chicago froze up. And so we just saw it again on kind of a really big stage where they had a chance to not only beat this Connecticut team, but try to get a repeat. We haven't seen it in such a long time. We've all been wanting it. We've been rooting for it, and they couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about the Marine pass and call it the pass, and I want the kerfuffle to be how this game is remembered. That would be perfect.
I hope
Just
so.
like capital T, capital K. Before we move on to the finals matchup, because I think that especially when you have a heavy favorite going down, it's a lot of times what did Chicago fail to do rather than what did Connecticut make them do. I do want to talk about just what the rosters look like on the two teams that have been eliminated, because both Chicago and Seattle have a lot of questions coming into this offseason. Sue Bird, we know, is retired. Allie Quigley all but hinted at that, or she definitely hinted at that. And then Sloot has talked about potentially wanting to just play overseas, especially prioritization is going to be a huge question. Candace, every time she steps to a microphone, people are asking her that question. And if we're tired of hearing about it, I can only imagine how tired she is about answering that question. But yeah, she's been saying for years now that there are more yesterdays than tomorrows. Stewie's a free agent, so the balance of power can really shift there. Do you think that those two teams, that their windows have closed, Chicago and Seattle?
Oof. I think we've just been talking a lot about these windows recently, especially in different press conferences and just looking at the makeup of all of the teams that are at the top right now. I think Seattle, it is seem like the window is closing, especially if Stewie doesn't come back. I think the prioritization rule is a huge question mark for superstars. Like, I think you have to look at if a Brianna Stewart is saying, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. Gabby Williams said that too for Seattle. You're not going to have Sue Bird. You're not going to have Brianne January. You're not going to have a lot of these core players. Is it the same team? Are we even comparing the same team of this year to next year? And I feel like with Chicago too, we were talking about the Chicago team, their window closing before Candace even got there. Like, I know I was saying that. I was like, can Courtney Vandersloot ever get a championship? Like, they've been close. They were failing. They were closer, and then they failed again. They made it all the way. They got their ship. I think they're done. Like, I also don't picture Allie Quigley coming back and Courtney Vandersloot not. Like, they are a package deal, as they've said before. So I think we have to start imagining a league where some of these vets that have been here, that have been trying to get multiple rings, have been trying to be at the top, are maybe not there anymore. And for CP3, that's my question. That's probably my biggest question going into the offseason is if she's going to come back. She is the master at being vague and, not exactly telling us her exact plans. She did that when she left LA too, not until the last minute, and she has her power to do so. But I don't know. In this last game, it wasn't the Candace Parker that we are used to. She had an incredible season, but I think getting into that postseason where the days are long, the games are longer, is she still have it? I think that's the question she wants to ask herself and make sure she comes with the correct answer that's best for her and her family. And we have to respect it. Every time she gets in front of the mic, like you said, we're going to ask her about it because we're fans of basketball and we love her and we love watching her play. But she's going to make that decision at the end of the day, just like all of these players with the prioritization rule.
I totally agree. We 100% have to respect it. Emotionally, I'm not ready for Candace
Me
Parker
neither.
to retire from the game. But
Same.
you know what?
Not at all.
We're gonna watch her flourish no matter what she does. I think it's interesting that you brought up Gabby Williams, because in talking about this prioritization, like you said, the superstars kind of are looming the largest. But I think Gabby's an interesting player here because she's someone who is a superstar overseas and
Yeah.
has played at that MVP level and gets paid considerably more. I guess my question here is, like, do you think the WNBA played itself into a corner here where not only do you have the Stewies and the Sloots and these superstars who might say, you know what, I'm just going to play overseas now, but you also have some really key role players like Gabby Williams being like, you know what, I'm not as appreciated over here as I am overseas.
Definitely. I think it's a hard decision for anyone, and especially when we're talking about money here. Like, we're in the players' pockets. We can't say, well, you're a superstar here. We love you. We love watching you, but we're not going to pay you the same. So please do us a favor and play in this league. We can't say that. Like, it's their livelihood, it's what's making them money. And I think Gabby Williams kept it real. She was like, if the bag is overseas, I'm going to chase the bag. And you can't fault her for that. But as fans of the WNBA, as fans of the game, it hurts that it came down to that. Like, I would love to watch Gabby Williams play full court defense nonstop for 10 more seasons in the WNBA. But if that's not where the money is, if that's not where she is appreciated, you can't fault her for that. And I expect there's going to be a ton of players that are making that tough decision. And it is a tough decision because we are seeing what has happened with Brittany Griner overseas, and we have seen the dangers and the unknowns of what playing overseas entails. And so when I've talked to players, they're like, well, I don't know if I'm going to go play overseas. But then you have other people where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to play in the W because I can't make enough money. So it's not just about basketball. It's not just about the X's and O's. These are players that have to make decisions based on their families, based on their livelihood. And it's unfortunate that it has to be that type of decision. I wish it was just about hoop. And it's like Gabby Williams, like, all right, who's going to play me? That's where I'm going to go, play with. But it's not about that. And this offseason specifically, with this rule coming up in the CBA, there's going to be a lot of players having to make that tough decision. And if the WNBA doesn't budge on that, either a vote or something to adjust this rule, or paying the players more to play here, then we're going to be watching a league that's missing some key players because of those tough decisions that they had to make, and we can't fault them for that.
It's so true, and I'm really glad you brought up because I do think we get lost in the basketball of it all because that's what we love, and often forget that, like, these are real people and some real stuff goes down, as we've seen. Moving ahead to the finals here, I mean, we got a tasty finals matchup starting on Sunday. I want to start before we break down the series, by just talking a little bit about the 26-year-old two-time MVP A'ja Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Come on, we gotta celebrate that accomplishment. She's only the third current active player with two MVPs. Candace Parker and Elena Delle Donne are the others. All kinds of other accolades. Only just entering her prime. It's ridiculous. What impresses you most about A'ja in any capacity, hoops, otherwise, just her as a person?
I love her so much. Like I think I tweeted after the MVP announcement, and she was my MVP. I was rooting for her to get this award this year. I love when great things happen to great people. Like she is just an all around great person. And something that I was witnessing this season in her was focus. Like she was so focused. Every time she stepped on the floor, you just from watching her through a screen, you felt that focus. It was the determination. It was the this is my time. And it's so wonderful to see a woman, a Black woman, just claim that, like claim her saying, this is my time to shine. Ever since she won it in 2020, she has been saying, I'm at the prime. I have a franchise behind me. I have a team behind me with other superstars, but I'm the leader and they're looking to me to play well. You've heard her talk after she doesn't have great games. She owns up to it. When she has great games, she's humble and gives her praise to her teammates. You just can't have anyone more deserving of this award. And to win Defensive Player of the Year award, I think that also goes with that focus. Like, I'm going to do anything in my power that my team wins. And they finished the regular season number one. I think they're going to be champions at the end of this. And when she looks back and she looks at all these highlights and everything that she did this season, I think she was so dialed in into the mission, into the goal, and having a head coach with Becky Hammon that's just, you know, talking and speaking life into this team. They are having fun. They're slapping each other with tortillas and dancing in locker rooms, but they're also so focused when it comes to the basketball part of it. And it's been extraordinary to watch. She couldn't be more deserving.
I love it so much. I'm getting so excited just listening to you talk. I'm gonna go.
Right? Me too.
Let's go. So, and I love too the point because it is so true. Like it's such a delicate balance of like just enjoying yourselves and having fun,
Mhm.
and then being so locked in when it matters. And you can see it like in their eyes when they're playing. It's like Asia is on a mission. It's awesome. Um, Another person on a mission, Chelsea Gray, just
Oh my
absolutely
god.
ludicrous what she's doing. I don't even know like what the question is, I guess, other than like, have you seen anything like what Chelsea just did to the Storm?
The only time I've seen something like it is Chelsea Gray in high school. I grew
Ooh.
up in Sacramento, and she was going to a school in St. Mary's, which wasn't too far. And the Sacramento high school, that was the biggest school, in my city, was going against Chelsea Gray. It was at the old Kings Arena, old Monarchs Arena, which we'll talk about, an Arco Arena, CIF championship. Chelsea Gray was in her bag. She was doing exactly what she's doing now at like 17 years old. She was so good. She's always been so good, even when she was at Duke. I think a lot of people look at her and are like, "Oh, are you a point guard? Like you're tall, maybe you're built a little different. Are you like the fastest person on the floor?" It doesn't matter. She will eat you alive. And I think it goes with that focus, right? Like she put her team on her back. She said, "Hey, everybody jump on. I'm about to drill these shots real quick. Don't even worry about it. Don't even ask me to pass it. I'm going to make these, and then we're going to go to the finals." And I just think everybody was like, all right. And they just went with it because that's who Chelsea Gray is. And as a Sparks fan now, I got to witness that up close. She's played in the Drew League here in LA. She is just that person. She's that player. She has so much fight, so much grit in her. But it's also what she said after that game. I put the work in. Like, I love when that happens. When players put the work in and they're reaping the benefits, that's how it's supposed to happen. And so what we're witnessing both from Asia and Chelsea is like I said, it's my time. I was put on this Aces team with my leadership, with my championship experience to carry this team to the finals. Yes, I have an MVP. Yes, I wasn't an all-star. What the heck? How did that happen? She was not an all-star this year, but she's carrying this team, and it has been so fun to watch.
I know I said this, I feel a little bit like a buzzkill. I said this a few minutes ago, but we were not giving Connecticut enough respect, and I don't want to get the disrespect narrative coming at
Oh,
us.
God.
But
Okay,
this
let's
is
do it.
but we need to talk about the other team. This is not the only team with an MVP
I
in
know,
the
I
finals.
forgot. I really forgot.
Sorry,
How-
Kurt. Sorry, Kurt.
Sorry, Kurt. Hope you're listening. How can the
Okay.
Sun, as a team, pull off this upset though? And what has to happen for them to win these finals?
I think Alyssa Thomas is just gonna have to beat everyone up, and then there's just no one left to play. No, I'm just kidding. But they're just gonna have to. It's gonna be toughness, right? If the Aces come in after listening to this and they're like, "Wow, we're the best team ever. We don't have to worry about anything." That's not going to go well. Connecticut has this disrespect narrative. They have this, we're the tougher team. We're the bad boys of the WNBA. Nobody wants us to win. Nobody wants us to succeed. So they're going to come with already the biggest chip on their shoulder. The Aces, they have to stay in line, stay polished. But anytime the Aces have a dip, anytime they start turning the ball over, Connecticut, it's like the beast gets fed. They just get bigger and bigger. Off of turnovers, they are, number one in the league of picking you apart, getting fast break points, disrupting your offense. And as long as the Aces stay diligent, then I think that they win this. But as soon as Connecticut can smell the fear off the Aces, they're going to pounce. And I think that's a big advantage. Anytime you slip up, Connecticut Sun are there to capitalize on it. But for me, my biggest issue with the Connecticut is consistency. You have one game where you're near perfect. Like, what was that? Game 4? I was like, where has this team been? This team is to be feared that they beat the Chicago Sky so easily. And that's the team that the Aces should fear. But you don't know which team is going to show up. Is that team going to show up, or is it the team that couldn't make a layup in the ocean? Like, which team is going to show up? I think, again, my theme is focus. When they were focused on making shots around the basket, they set a record for making shots around the basket. And that's the same focus that they're going to have to take down the near perfect, multi-headed beast of the Aces.
And I think that the physicality is going to be so important in the series too, because we looked at the games that Connecticut was able to pull out over Chicago, and I don't want to say it came down to refereeing or anything like that, but when the refs let them play, that's where Connecticut can really, the Sun can play their style, their brand of basketball, which is just so physical. And the Aces don't necessarily have the depth to absorb all those hits, especially in the front court.
Totally.
So it's going to be so many guards versus so many front court, so many bigs. And it's going to be an interesting matchup, and it's just seeing which style. But hopefully, because the Aces are in this game, we're going to force Connecticut to play a more fun style of basketball, because we deserve that for the finals.
We do. We totally do.
Which player on Connecticut do you think can really make the push, besides Alyssa Thomas, who we've seen her put the team on her back before, right? We've seen her have those ridiculous games where every push shot is going in, and she's got a triple-double. But outside of those big three, right? Because we finally got to see that big three together with DeWanda Bonner and with JJ. Who can be the player that can make up some of the ground that they're losing? Because the perimeter defense is going to be their problem, and not having Jasmine Thomas is a problem.
Yeah.
How can they overcome that?
I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't think so. But Dejanay Carrington needs more minutes. Like, immediately. She
Yes.
is that microwave player, and it's so obvious. Because sometimes, Connecticut can get in those ruts when they are, they're holding opponents. It's strong defense, but they can't get a bucket. Dejanay checks into the game. She immediately gets a bucket. And it's not even how she does it. It's not like she's coming in and shooting threes. She knows her minutes are limited, so she's just trying to score a bunch of points. She attacks the defense. She makes them play defense. She's driving to the basket. She's getting layups on these tough defensives. We saw it over and over throughout the season, and we saw it over and over throughout these playoffs. I think that she has to get more minutes in this series. The guard play is going to be extraordinary. We know this. The post play is going to be amazing with whoever Age is guarding, with JJ, with Bree Jones. But putting in DJ Carrington will make the Aces guards have to think twice, have to be on their toes, have to know where she is because she's slashing, she's driving, and she just needs more minutes. I need more of her on the floor. I don't even think she got enough minutes in game 5. They still pulled it out, but I need her more on the floor. I think she makes other people better, and she makes their opponents just be on their toes, second guess, and be more alert.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. I love when she gets the ball on the perimeter and does a little fake and then just her like drives to the hoop and the layups. It's like a signature move. It's the best. Do you enjoy watching the WNBA? We, us three, obviously sure do. Come hang with the Winsidr team on Playback. It's a fun new way to watch WNBA games with your friends and make new ones. Our link is getplayback.com/room/Winsidr.
First of all, Owen, flawless.
Man,
That was good.
podcast
I was
ad
like,
read.
wait, are you asking me? Do I like the WNBA? I totally do.
I hope you got that by now, right? I think
everyone's on their toes today.
This allows us to do a little bit of an awkward transition, though. We wanted to talk about the encore, but we did say we wanted to come back to just why we were so excited to talk to you specifically. And I think that part of what makes us so excited is that there are so few people in this space doing what you're doing, which is combining your writing talent with podcasting, with hosting. Your finger is so clearly to the pulse of where journalism is headed right now. So how have you continued to adapt in an industry that's often so slow in evolving any of its practices?
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's so nice. This is an audio only, but I'm smiling like ear to ear. So that was very nice. I have been trying to have my hand in everything. Like that's exactly where I want to be, everywhere. I want to try everything. I don't know if I'm great at everything, but I just want to try it. I want to make sure that these WNBA players and these women's basketball players' stories are everywhere. I don't see them enough, and there's so many of them, and they're so great as humans and as players that I want to tell them. And they could be told on audio, they can be told on video, written, play by play. There's so many ways to tell those stories. And I've been having so much fun carving out all these lanes and trying all these things where stories could be told and listened to and shared. So that's what I've been trying to do. I'm like a journalist octopus, like putting my hands and my talents everywhere because it's been so fun, and the feedback has been great. I think the past couple years I've really been trying to follow my passion, and my passion is with women's basketball and WNBA, and I don't think there's enough of us. Like there's just this small group of us where we just band together and we just fangirl out on all these players, on the history. And I just want to bring more people into that. And just like on the NBA side, from past work, either at the Ringer or with Spinsters, there's so many other ways that you can connect with players or with the league. And we see that all the time, in NBA with LeBron or with other things. Sometimes it's off the court things that connect you and watch them on the court. You may not be a I don't know, Chicago Bulls fan, but you are connected to some of the players and you follow them on Instagram. So you tune into the game. And that's what I want to do for the W as well. If you're not a super fan, it's really hard to be a casual fan in the WNBA because of all the hoops and different things and different ESPN channels that the games are on. You have to really be committed to watching it. But the stories is what really brings everyone together and makes everyone a fan.
I mean, what I love about what you just said is how wholeheartedly you celebrate the players and their stories. And so I want to turn it on to you for a second and give you a chance to celebrate yourself because you deserve to.
Oh.
What and you can name as many things as you want here, but you've accomplished so much in the basketball space. What are you most proud of professionally in terms of things you've already accomplished?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you're right. I don't think I think about this enough of what I am most proud of. I think I'm most proud when, I interview a WNBA player, and this happened a couple times this season with the Buckets 5, where we're sitting and we're not talking about basketball at all. And they, the player just says, "That was so much fun. No one asked me that before. No one cared to ask me that before." And I've always been proud of those moments. I interviewed Ryan Howard when she was still at Kentucky, and it was just a fun piece about why she wears her headband upside down. Like, it wasn't anything about why she wasn't the player of the year or stats or, and Ryan, she's so quiet and shy. And I asked her about her being in a sorority, and I asked her about her mom being her coach and, how she cheers her on. And I asked her about if she knew that Rondo wore his headband upside down. And she was like, "No, I was 10 years old." And I was like, "Oh my God." But all of those things, and she told her PR person after, she's like, "That was one of my favorite interviews." And that made me so proud because it wasn't about the basketball. We have to make sure that we're sharing the whole story of these players as people. And sometimes we get so lost in that with, true shooting percentage and the analytics of their zone defense versus man. Like, those are fun too. We can nerd out, but we can't forget about the players as people. And whenever a player says, "Thank you for asking that," or "No one's ever cared to ask that before," I'm always proud in those moments.
That is so funny you just mentioned that because when Myles and I were prepping for the pod, I literally said, what we're not going to do today is mention Chelsea Gray's true shooting percentage. Like there's a couple times for that, but we're not. This is that's amazing. And I mean that's what I love so much about the Buckets 5. I wanted to ask because it's such a fun show and it is so awesome hearing about these stories that people might not know enough about or have never heard. How did this show come about?
Yeah, so my good friend Sean Yu, we work together at The Ringer, and he works at Wave in the Buckets arm there. And he said that, we're going to be partnering with the WNBA. I have to have Jordan a part of this in some way. And he called me, and that's when we just started brainstorming. And it was interesting too with the Buckets community because, they are really heavy in the NBA, but I felt alignment with Wave and Buckets because they're like, we want to introduce people to the WNBA. Like, we want to create new fans for the league. And that's everything I stand for. So I immediately got behind that. And the tone was a little different. I felt like with my written work or with other, interviews like this, I'm talking to people that know the W. Like, we breathe it. But with Buckets, it's kind of like introducing. So some of the things that maybe is common knowledge to us as super fans, I want the Buckets community to be like, "Oh, I didn't even know that," or "Who's that player?" or "Wait, am I a Sky fan now?" Like, I want them to have those questions so that they become new fans of the league, new things that they're discovering. And that was a fun challenge to just be like, "Hey, I know this amazing secret. The WNBA is amazing. It's basketball. just like the NBA. Crazy. Come watch it. And that was kind of the tone. And also bringing in players who maybe don't have that platform to sit in a really cool studio to talk about their career and talk about their life, how they got to this point. And a lot of the players were just so honored and had so much fun and was like, why isn't there more of this? And I was like, just you wait, I got you. So I always consider myself like an ambassador of the W, ambassador of this league, of this game. And I was able to do that with buckets.
That's so great. And I feel like we could be here all night just talking about this, because I'm also just thinking about how my fiance does not love sports or basketball, but when she'll sit down to a game, she asks me who's dating each other, which that player has, I know that dog, I follow that dog on Instagram, and oh, what's the beef here? And that's kind of her entry point. So it's great to just have all these different stories, and there are just so many ways to engage the fan base. And I think that the W, with the access that the players are willing to share of themselves, and because the league is still small, it's still a community, like you said. Look at WNBA Twitter, which is kind of its own kind of bubble there. It's still growing. So I think that that's such a cool angle and approach, and it's just, we need more different avenues of content, because Winsidr, we're talking inside the lines, right? Like we're on the court for most of what we're talking about. And I think that there's a place for that. There's a place for the transactions and everything. But I know that I just love, and as media members, we get to learn so much about these players. And that's why we love doing this work. That's why we love being in this space, is that we just have such a deep, profound respect for what they're doing. And we've talked about the multiple jobs, and we've talked about raising families, right? And it's just, there's so much that goes into it. So I just really love, and I keep saying that, that you are bringing some of that to light. But just a couple of things before we let you go. Want to bring it back to the court for 1 second. So at risk of jumping too far out, is there a move that you want, talking about some of the drama, a move that you want to see happen this offseason? And also, we came prepared with answers too, so we're not going to leave you on an island here with a hot take. But is there something, as you're watching these series, and we're getting to see the players play these best of threes, best of fives, and you're like, wait, I'm seeing something there that I really think would fit on a different team?
I'm here for chaos. I want everyone, every couple years, everyone just rotate teams.
Musical
and
chairs.
just switch it up. That's why I loved Athletes Unlimited so much, because it's just like, let's just switch it up. Everybody go play with everybody. But I think we talked about it a little bit. Brianna Stewart is who I have my eye on. Matt Allentuck was like starting rumors on Spencer's a couple weeks ago about Brianna Stewart going to New York. And I was like, ooh, I want this. I know she flirted with it last year. She went on different visits, but I'm like, I kind of really like that.
It's a
good fit. I think she would actually fit with that team. They need, one more player, because every team, like I say over and over in the WNBA, is a super team. Like it's just what it is. So I kind of want her to just switch it up and not be, so super loyal to one franchise for her entire career. I can just hear the Storm fans crying. Like, I don't know if that's what that sound is, but I want that. I know the league would probably go on fire if she left Seattle, or, we talked about if she doesn't come back at all. But having her go to New York, I think would just be so fun. Like, why not?
Yeah, there are only so many players that can make that move and shift the balance of power too, right? So I'm with you. I'm all for the drama. Also, being on the New York Liberty beat, selfishly, I would absolutely love that to happen.
You would love that.
I was gonna say, like, Myles is keeping it professional right now. Like, he is beaming that you said this. He loves it.
Owen, all right, now we're gonna have Jordan. We're gonna have you grade our off-season hot takes.
Okay,
Owen, you can go first.
I'll go first. All right. Here's mine. I'm doing a reunion episode here. I want to see Brittany Sykes back in Atlanta.
Ooh.
That's what I would love to see. I think that like the energy that she would bring this team right now, it fits just in line with everything that they've, put together here after having that kind of disastrous little run. They're all about defense. Like Tanisha Wright just comes in and instills this work ethic and this just kind of grinded out defensive mentality. We all know that Brittany Sykes is like number one perimeter defender. She's great in transition. I think they got a high draft pick this year. They already have Ryan Howard, on the brink of the playoffs. Like, I just would love to see Brittany Sykes go back to Atlanta. That's my move.
A+.
Love it.
Really, I'm an easy grader, but I love that. I got me excited. If Brittany Sykes went to Atlanta, she wins Defensive Player of the Year.
Boom. Hands down.
I totally agree with that.
And a little bonus, I want them to re-sign Maya Caldwell too, but that's
yes, they need to do that. Atlanta was so fun this year, and they were young, and they had a rookie coach, and it was like a new identity that just formed before our eyes. Like, it was so fun to watch, and Ryan Howard did exactly what she was supposed to do. She's a superstar. She did superstar things. She does need some more pieces. My follow-up question to you is, who has to go to make room for Sykes?
Man, that is the good question. I love me on the spot. One player that maybe, I love this player off the court, so it pains me to do this. I've never loved Monique Billings' fit like with the team. I think that I think they play a little better when they just surround their stars with shooting and spacing, and Mo Billings does a lot of great stuff. But like, if there was one salary, I'm like filibustering here as I pull up the Atlanta cap.
She made 140 last year. I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Boom. See, Myles always on it. That's why I love it. Yeah. So she's not. If I think that's perfect actually, because she made 140 last year. If they didn't bring her back, she'll get signed somewhere else. She's a really solid professional player. But I kind of like them playing Cheyenne Parker at the 5 and then go like super small shooting, just, fly around on defense type of team. So that would be the player they got to lose, I guess.
That is the correct answer. And also, as a Sparks fan, we're definitely not giving you Brittany Sykes, but we would love Monique Billings. I think she would fit in the Sparks. I don't even know if we have a system. We're completely on fire right now, but she would look great back in LA because she went to UCLA. So come on back, Monique Billings.
It's perfect.
It's a good fit.
Great.
That's a good fit.
Great trade.
All right. Now the bar was set super high. Maybe I should have gone first. A deal that I would like to see happen, and I think it's just because we've been talking about this finals and looking at what the deficiencies might be, but there was so much talk about the Sun blowing it up, but that becomes less and less true as they advance further and further, because winning heals any animosity that might be there. If you make the layups when it matters, nobody's getting fired. So I like the idea of them adding a piece in the offseason, and I would love to see Alicia Clark go to Connecticut, because they just don't have the perimeter defense there that they lost last year with Brianne January, and then obviously this year with JT being out. But Courtney was good for them. Alicia brings some perimeter shooting too, which is something that they need. She'll be another year removed from her injury. And just the physicality that just feels like what Kurt Miller wants from his team at all times. And she's also just a great human being, which is also pretty high up on their list of priorities. So I would love to see AC go up to Connecticut.
Okay. I would also give this an A. I like this for multiple reasons. One, they need shooting. I feel like Heidemann has really stepped into that role, and we kind of just, as fans are watching like, wait, who had that role before? Oh, nobody did. Like, she really created it herself, and she's doing wonderful. But having that veteran in Alicia Clark would be super helpful. She brings a defense. Key part of what you said is she will be another year removed from injury, because I feel like this season she may have been 100%, but it wasn't like Alicia Clark that we know, right? Is that wild to say, or is that true?
No,
Spot on.
I spot
Okay.
on. And we weren't
Okay.
seeing her in the post backing down guards, which is my
Right.
favorite thing to see.
Oh, love that. Yeah. And she could, can you imagine that play call? Bring out JJ, top of the key, and she's like, give it to me. I got a tiny on me. And
Clear
then
out.
she clear out. Oh, I would pay money to just watch that. So yes, I love this. This is great.
I love this. This is great grading. I appreciate the curve. And before we let you go, although you did just say my LA Sparks, I did want to talk about your Monarchs fandom. Can you share your extremely cool, extremely unique experience that you had with a Monarchs legend?
Okay. Yes. So I'm from Sacramento. I grew up a Monarchs fan. I still have my Tisha Pinachero jersey that I bought at the team store when I was 10, I think. Still fits. Love it. The letters are kind of starting to peel off, but it's vintage. It's fine. So my fiance knows how much Tisha is my favorite player, my fandom. I was a point guard. I idolized Tisha. One of the best, no, the best passer in the history of the WNBA. So, on the evening that I was getting proposed to, I didn't know exactly what was happening, but we were at a fancy dinner, and my fiance pulls out a cameo of Tisha Pinachero telling me how proud she is of me, and I start crying. I thought this was the surprise. I didn't even think that I was getting proposed to after this, because my fiance disguised it as like a work appreciation dinner. And I thought that was a surprise. Tisha was on Cameo. She's telling me how proud she is of me, and I'm just crying. And then he proposes. I say yes. It's wonderful. We're getting married in a couple weeks. But I go to the WNBA draft and I see Tisha at the hotel. I panic. I sweat. I go the other way. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. This is my idol, but I'm going to see her again later. And then I'm going to tell her about the proposal story. It's fine. So I ditched that one, dodge her. Then later, I see her again. I interview her on the orange carpet. I was having like the extreme fangirl moment. And then I tell her the proposal story. She gives me the biggest hug. She's like, "You're the best." Now we're like friends. I text her. We're going to work together with her players and the Buckets 5. She's the coolest. And it's just a full circle moment.
That's incredible. And it just, yeah, full circle, because it comes back to just the connections that you've built. And it's a two-way street. It's not just you sharing the stories, but the players and your idols have become part of your life as well. And before we get out of here, I did want to share a not as cool, but a proposal story that I had, because Liberty Media Day this year, we come back from the break and I got engaged in the off season as well.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you. And congrats to you. I didn't want to cut you off, but congrats to you. You
Thank
said
you.
a few weeks from
Thank you so
now.
much.
I'm sure you're stressing.
I am.
But one of my first questions was to Michaela Onyenwede. And before she answered, she said, first of all, congratulations, Myles, on your engagement. And she's up there with Dee Dee and Sammy. And they just all kind of explode. And it was a rare moment that I was the focus of what was going on in that room. And it was just really, really heartwarming and sweet for me. So I just love how intertwined the W has become in both of our lives. Mm-hmm. So it's just very, very amazing, and just why not why we do it, but it's a nice little perk.
It totally is.
Has a podcast ever ended on a more wholesome note? This is I love it. Well, Jordan, I mean, we appreciate you taking the time so much. This was so fun. Where can people find your work? Anything you want to plug? Any last notes? Like, floor is yours.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having me. These playoffs have been amazing. I can't wait for game 1. It's going to be so much fun. I actually can't wait. I feel like there should be a countdown somewhere in my house. But you can find me on Instagram at Jordan Ligons or on Twitter at _Jordan Ligons. And you could subscribe to the Buckets YouTube to watch all of the Buckets 5 interviews and videos. It's a blast, and some of your favorite players are on it, and you can get to know them more.
Thanks so much, Jordan. This was a lot of fun.
Yay, thank you. Talk soon.